the arrival that changed everything. For 12,000 cycles, the unified Council of Worlds had maintained absolute dominion over the known galaxy. Their combined fleets, representing 27 spacefaring civilizations, patrolled the void between stars with unquestioned authority. Peace was maintained not through diplomacy but through overwhelming firepower. Lesser species either joined the Council, accepting its protection and heavy taxation, or faced extinction. This was the way of things. This was order. Until the humans arrived at High Admiral Zelthorn of the Voshak Imperium, watched the anomaly with growing unease. His flagship, the Invincible Dominion, hovered at the edge of the Arcturus system alongside 11 other Council warships. The vessels represented the finest military engineering of a dozen different species, and yet for the first time in his 300-cycle career, Zelthorn felt genuinely afraid. Still no response to our hails, reported his communications officer, a slender Telosian whose bioluminescent skin had dimmed with anxiety. The vessel remained stationary. Zelthorn's four eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display. The unknown ship had simply appeared at the system's edge 2 rotations ago, preceded by no warp signature, no quantum disturbance, nothing that should announce the arrival of a vessel stretching nearly 8 kilometers from bow to stern. Its design defied Council aesthetics completely. Sleek where Council vessels were bulky, curved where others favored harsh angles, and constructed from materials that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. "Magnify Sector 7, Zelthorn ordered. The display zoomed in on the vessel's midsection, revealing strange geometric patterns etched into its hull. No weapons emplacements were visible, which was perhaps the most disturbing aspect of all. Every known species proudly displayed their armaments as a deterrent. This ship showed nothing. Sensors detect no energy emissions beyond minimal life support, his tactical officer reported. Either their systems are powered down, or our sensors cannot penetrate their technology, Zelthorn finished. Unacceptable. He turned to the holographic representations of the 11 other commanders, their diverse physiologies united in shared concern. "The Council protocols are clear," said Commander Vithrax of the Kaldari Union, her crystalline form reflecting the command center's lighting. "Unknown vessels refusing communication must be neutralized." Zelthorn hesitated. Something about this encounter felt different. The ship's size alone suggested capabilities beyond Council understanding. Still, orders were orders. All vessels. "Charge weapons, prepare to—" "Admiral," his communications officer interrupted, voice trembling. "We're receiving a transmission. It's coming through on all frequencies simultaneously." The command center's speakers crackled to life, and a voice spoke, not in any recognizable language, yet somehow perfectly understood by every being present. It bypassed translators entirely, as if speaking directly to their consciousness. "This is Captain Ilara Chen of the Earth vessel Nemesis. We have been observing your Council for some time. We are now prepared to engage in formal contact." Zelthorn recovered quickly. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Council space without authorization. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded or face immediate destruction." A pause, then. "That would be inadvisable, Admiral Zelthorn." The fact that they knew his name and rank sent a chill through the Voshak's spine. They'd been watching, studying the Council. But for how long? "Perhaps a demonstration is required," the human voice continued calmly. Before Zelthorn could respond, a section of the human vessel's hull shifted, revealing what appeared to be an aperture of some kind. A beam of concentrated energy, so bright it overwhelmed the flagship's filters, lanced out toward a small uninhabited moon orbiting the system's gas giant. The moon didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, its matter seemingly converted to energy in an instant. The resulting flash briefly outshone the system's star. Stunned silence gripped the command center. The tactical officer finally found his voice. "Energy readings off any known scale, Admiral. That single discharge contained more power than our entire combined fleet could generate in a full rotation." Zelthorn's secondary hearts began beating, rapidly. He had served during the Hive Wars, witnessed the fall of the Proxima Collective, commanded ships during the Quantum Plague, but never had he encountered something that made him feel so utterly outmatched. We mean no hostility, the Yao. Human continued. We merely wish to establish that threats between us would be counterproductive. An emergency council session was convened immediately, with the highest-ranking representatives of all 27 species gathering virtually. Grand Arbiter Moltek of the founding Araxian hegemony presided, his ancient form seeming particularly frail today. The data is conclusive, reported Science Director Quillathrin of the Scythori Technocracy. This human vessel possesses technology centuries beyond our most advanced theoretical models. The weapon they demonstrated appears to function by temporarily altering the fundamental constants of physics within a localized field, causing matter to lose cohesion at the quantum level. Impossible, hissed War Master Kolax of the militant Drex Collective. No species could develop such capabilities without our knowledge. And yet, Moltek observed dryly, they have. The Council's response fleet had grown to 37 vessels, representing the most formidable concentration of firepower in the Galactic quadrant. Yet they maintained a respectful distance from the solitary human ship. They claimed to represent a planet called Earth, continued Quillathrin, located in a remote spiral arm we deemed uninhabitable during our last survey 800 cycles ago. Apparently, we were mistaken. What do they want? Demanded Trade Minister Voxtelia of the Mercantile Zinthar Consortium. Resources? Territory? They have made no demands, Moltek replied. They wish to talk. The council representatives exchanged uneasy glances. Talking as equals was not how the council operated with newcomers. Species earned their place through strength, tribute, or technological value. After much debate, a diplomatic vessel was dispatched to the Nemesis, carrying representatives from the 7 founding species. Admiral Zelthorn, as the commanding military officer on scene, was required to join them. The human ship's docking bay defied conventional design. As they entered, Zelthorn noted the absence of visible security measures. Either the humans were foolishly trusting or so confident in their superiority that they saw no need for precautions. He suspected the latter. They were greeted by a delegation of 5 humans led by Captain Chen, a surprisingly small bipedal species with minimal physical differences between individuals. They appeared almost fragile, with no natural weapons, armor, or redundant organs visible. How such beings had created such advanced technology remained a mystery. Welcome aboard the Nemesis, Captain Chen said, her voice now being properly translated. She was shorter than most of her companions, with dark hair pulled back tightly and eyes that seemed to evaluate everything with unnerving precision. We appreciate your willingness to meet. You left us little choice, Zelthorn replied coldly. Your demonstration was noted. A regrettable necessity, Chen responded. Our studies of council history showed that displays of strength are the only communication truly respected. Grand Arbiter Moltek moved forward, his hovering platform bringing him to eye level with the humans. You claim to have studied us, yet we have no knowledge of your kind. Explain. Humanity has observed the Council for nearly 70 years, said another human, introducing himself as Ambassador Okafor. We discovered faster-than-light travel approximately 1 century ago, but chose to remain in stealth observation mode when we discovered the nature of your governance. You disapprove of our methods? Hissed Councillor Drethmore of the predatory Velshar Dominion. We find them inefficient, Chen replied simply. A system maintained through fear eventually fails. History, our history, has proven this repeatedly. What followed was a presentation that shook the Council delegation to its core. The humans displayed holographic records of their species' development, their wars, their art, their philosophy, their science. They showed how they had evolved from tribal conflicts to planetary unity, not through conquest but through cooperation. Impossible, whispered Science Director Quillathrin. No species advances this quickly without outside intervention. We had no guides, Chen said. Only our own ingenuity and determination. But it was what came next that truly changed everything. As the council delegation prepared to depart with their unsettling findings, Captain Chen offered one final revelation. We should clarify something, she said casually. The Nemesis is not a warship? Zelthorn frowned. The weapon you demonstrated is a terraforming tool designed to reshape uninhabitable planets by altering their fundamental properties. She smiled slightly, though it has obvious defensive applications. If this is not a warship, Moltech demanded, then what is it? A scout vessel, Chen replied, our equivalent of a diplomatic courier. The implications hit Zelthorn like a gravity wave. If this was merely a scout, Chen gestured, and a holographic display activated, showing the galaxy with thousands of points of light scattered throughout. These are the current positions of the human fleet. We've been establishing observation posts for decades, evaluating whether this galaxy would be a suitable home for our expansion. Impossible, War Master Kolak snarled. Our sensors would have detected. Your sensors detect what they're designed to detect, Chen interrupted. We operate beyond those parameters. As if on cue, the ship's sensors began registering anomalies throughout the system. Space itself seemed to ripple as portions of the void suddenly manifested into solid forms. Ships. Human ships. Within moments, over 200 vessels had appeared, each similar in design to the Nemesis but varying in size and configuration. The Council has ruled through military superiority for 12 millennia, Chen said quietly. That era is now over. Humanity has arrived, and we bring with us a different vision for galactic civilization. Zelthorn stared at the tactical display showing the human armada now surrounding the Council fleet. His entire career, the very foundation of his species' place in the galaxy, had been built on the certainty of Council military dominance. That certainty had just been shattered beyond repair. What happens now? He asked, voice barely audible. Captain Chen's expression softened slightly. That, Admiral, is what we're here to discuss. The galaxy remade the Unified Council of Worlds emergency session, extended into its 4th consecutive day. Representatives argued, threatened, and occasionally dissolved into panic as reports continued to flood in from across Council space. Human vessels had appeared simultaneously at every major strategic location, not attacking, not threatening, simply present, watching. Grand Arbiter Moltech struggled to maintain order as the trade minister of the Zinthar Consortium projected the latest economic analysis onto the central display. Markets are in freefall, she reported grimly. The mere presence of human vessels has disrupted shipping lanes, and uncertainty about their intentions has caused a 37% decline in interstellar commerce. They are choking us, without firing a single shot, growled War Master Kolak. Science Director Quillathrin's hologram flickered as she joined from her research facility. I've completed preliminary analysis of the sensor data from their ships. Their technology isn't just advanced, it operates on principles we haven't even theorized. Can we duplicate it? Moltech asked. Not in any reasonable time frame. Their basic power generation alone would take us centuries to reverse engineer. Admiral Zelthorn, who had barely spoken since the initial encounter, finally addressed the Council. We must accept reality. Military confrontation is not an option. His words triggered an uproar. The Council had never backed down, never admitted defeat, even during the darkest days of the Hive Wars. To do so now would undermine the very foundation of their authority. What options remain? Asked Counselor Zartil of the telepathic Mindari Collective. Surrender? Subjugation to these newcomers? They haven't demanded our surrender, Zelthorn pointed out. They've requested dialogue. In the 3 days since the human fleet's revelation, the Nemesis had maintained its position, neither advancing nor retreating. Captain Chen had sent a single message. When you're ready to talk about the future, we'll be here. Meanwhile, Council intelligence agencies had been frantically gathering whatever information they could about humanity. Deep space listening posts had intercepted fragments of their communications, their entertainment, their history. The picture emerging was troubling. "They're warriors," reported Intelligence Director Vostil. "Their history is soaked in blood. They've fought more wars among themselves in a single millennium than most council species have in their entire evolutionary history. Then they understand strength," Kolak said approvingly. "Perhaps we can find common ground." "That's not the full picture," Vostil continued. "Their wars taught them something different. Not the supremacy of force, but its limitations. Their most recent centuries show a remarkable transition, from conquest to cooperation, from domination to diplomacy." "A ruse," hissed Councillor Drethmore. "No predator abandons its nature." Science Director Quill Atheron's multifaceted eyes shifted in thought. "Unless evolution demands it. Their technological advancement suggests a species that values innovation over tradition, adaptation over stability." "Dangerous qualities," muttered Trade Minister Voxtelia. "Yes," agreed Quillathron, "but also intriguing." After much debate, the council made its decision. A diplomatic delegation would engage with the humans, while simultaneously a secret operation would be launched to assess potential weaknesses in their technology. If dialogue failed, the council would at least have options. Unknown to the council, the humans were having their own debates aboard the massive command vessel that had joined the Nemesis 2 days earlier. The UES Prometheus, nearly 20 kilometers long, served as the flagship of the Earth expansion fleet. Within its strategic command center, humanity's leaders discussed their next steps. "The council species are terrified," reported Intelligence, Commander Yasmin Rahman reviewing the intercepted communications. "Their entire power structure is built on military dominance. We've completely undermined that foundation." Fleet Admiral Helena Reyes nodded, her weathered face reflecting decades of service. "Fear can make them dangerous. Some factions are already advocating for a preemptive strike." "Let them try," said Defense Coordinator Gabriel Chen, Captain Chen's brother and the architect of Earth's planetary shield system. "It would answer several questions about their weapons capabilities." "We're not here to fight," reminded Ambassador Okafor firmly. "Humanity has moved beyond such crude methods." "Have we?" Admiral Reyes raised an eyebrow. "Our arrival was deliberately intimidating. We showcased weapons technology rather than cultural achievements. We surrounded their fleets with our own. These are not the actions of a purely peaceful civilization. Sometimes strength must be demonstrated before peace can be discussed," Captain Chen replied. "The Council understands power. Now that we've established our position, we can begin the real work." The humans' debate was interrupted by an alert. A small fleet of council vessels, unauthorized by the central government, had broken formation and was accelerating toward the human perimeter. "Extremist faction," Commander Rahman concluded after reviewing their communications, "determined to prove that humanity can be challenged." "Weapons charged," Gabriel Chen reported. "All based on conventional physics, antimatter warheads, plasma, cannons, directed energy. Nothing that poses a significant threat." "Options?" Admiral Reyes asked. Captain Chen stepped forward. "Let me handle this. It's time to show them who we really are." The rogue council fleet, comprising 9 warships from the militant Drex Collective, accelerated to attack velocity. Their commander, Sub-War Master Crag, was determined to prove that humans could bleed. "Target the smallest vessel," he ordered. "Concentrate all firepower. The combined arsenal of 9 Drex warships, enough firepower to shatter a small moon, lance toward a human corvette at the perimeter." The energy impacted against nothing. One moment, space was empty. The next, a shimmering barrier had manifested between the Drex fleet and their target. The barrier didn't just absorb their attack, it redirected it, sending the energy harmlessly into space in a spectacular display of light. "Impossible," whispered Crag's weapons officer. Then silence fell across all communication channels. Every system on every Drex vessel simultaneously shut down, leaving them drifting helplessly in space. Only life support remained operational. A single human appeared as a hologram on each vessel's bridge. Captain Chen, her expression not angry but disappointed. "This was unnecessary," she said simply. "We disabled your vessels rather than destroying them. A courtesy you wouldn't have extended to us. When your emergency power activates in 1 hour, please return to your fleet and explain what happened here." Back at the Council fleet, Admiral Zelthorn watched the encounter with a growing sense of inevitability. The humans could have obliterated the Drex ships, but chose restraint instead. This wasn't just a demonstration of technological superiority, but a philosophical difference. The official diplomatic meeting finally began 2 days later, aboard a neutral space station hastily constructed between the opposing fleets. Captain Chen led the human delegation, while Grand Arbiter Moltek represented the Council. "Let us dispense with posturing," Moltek began, his ancient voice steady despite the circumstances. "You possess superior technology and military capability. What do you want from us? Territory? Resources? Servitude?" Captain Chen shook her head. "None of those things. Humanity has evolved beyond resource scarcity. We can synthesize any element, harness energy from the quantum fabric itself, and terraform worlds to suit our needs. Then why reveal yourselves now? Why this show of force?" "Because the galaxy deserves better than the Council has given it," Chen replied bluntly. "For 12,000 years you've maintained a system of oppression disguised as order. Advanced species exploit less developed ones. New civilizations are subjugated before they can reach their potential. Cultural exchange is minimal. Scientific cooperation virtually non-existent." Moltek's eyes narrowed. "You presume to judge a system that has maintained peace across a galaxy for millennia? Peace through fear isn't peace at all, Ambassador," Okafor interjected. "It's merely postponed conflict. What followed was not the typical Council negotiation, but something none of them had experienced before, an actual dialogue between equals. The humans presented their vision for a transformed galaxy, one where species cooperated not out of fear but mutual benefit, where technology was shared rather than hoarded, where cultural exchange was celebrated rather than suppressed. "Impossible," scoffed many Council representatives. "Species are inherently competitive, as were human nations once," Chen acknowledged. "We nearly destroyed ourselves before learning that cooperation yielded greater benefits than competition." The same principle applies at the galactic scale. To demonstrate their sincerity, the humans shared technological breakthroughs that immediately solved problems the Council had struggled with for centuries: clean energy production, disease eradication, faster transportation methods. They offered these freely without demands or conditions. "Why would you give away such advantages?" asked Science Director Quillathrin, genuinely perplexed. "Because technology hoarded benefits only its possessor," Gabriel Chen explained. "Technology shared benefits all, and returns improved upon itself." Over the following weeks, a new understanding began to emerge. The humans had no interest in destroying the Council, but they were determined to transform it. They proposed a new galactic organization, one where membership was voluntary rather than coerced, where decisions were made through consensus rather than diktat, where advancement came through cooperation rather than conquest. Not all Council species embraced this vision. The predatory Velshar saw it as weakness. The militant Drex viewed it as surrender. The mercantile Zinthar worried about profit margins in a cooperative economy. But others, particularly the younger species and those who had suffered under Council taxation, saw opportunity. The telepathic Mindari recognized in humans a kindred, philosophical evolution. The innovative Sithori appreciated their technological ingenuity. Even among the founding species, voices began to rise in support of change. Admiral Zelthorn, who had begun this journey as humanity's adversary, found himself increasingly advocating for cooperation. He had witnessed not only their power but their restraint, a combination the Council had never mastered. 6 months after humanity's arrival, the Treaty of New Beginnings was signed. The Unified Council was dissolved, replaced by the Galactic, cooperative of sentient species. Membership was voluntary, technology was shared, cultural exchange was encouraged, military forces were maintained for defense rather than control. Not all species joined immediately. Some retreated to their territories, wary of this new order. Others joined reluctantly, planning to subvert from within. But most recognized the inevitable. Humanity had irrevocably changed the galaxy's trajectory. A decade later, Admiral Zelthorn, now Ambassador Zelthorn to Earth, stood beside Captain Chen, who had become the cooperative's first diplomatic coordinator. They watched from a space station as a new species was welcomed into the galactic community. They developed faster-than-light travel only 30 years after discovering electricity, Zelthorn remarked, reviewing their file. Remarkable acceleration. With proper mentorship and support, many species develop more quickly than the Council believed possible, Chen replied. Your people required 3 centuries to make the same leap. Because we did it alone, he acknowledged. No one shared knowledge with us. No one offered guidance. A cycle we've broken, Chen said, satisfaction evident in her voice. Zelthorn studied her thoughtfully. When your ships first appeared, we thought you came to conquer. When you revealed your fleet, we were certain of it. How strange that instead, you liberated us from ourselves. Captain Chen smiled. The true test of advancement isn't developing better weapons or faster ships. It's recognizing when to use power and when to share it. Humanity learned that lesson the hard way, through centuries of conflict and near extinction. And now the galaxy learns it through your example, Zelthorn concluded. As they watched the new species representatives take their place in the cooperative chamber, Chen's communication device chimed. She reviewed the message with interest. Exploratory. Fleet just returned from Andromeda, she reported. They've made contact with several promising civilizations there. Zelthorn's 4 eyes widened slightly. You've already reached Andromeda? That's millions of light years. Chen nodded. Distance is increasingly irrelevant to our technology. Space, time, even reality itself becomes malleable once you understand the underlying patterns. And will you approach them as you did us? With a show of overwhelming force? No, she said thoughtfully. We've learned too. Each first contact teaches us something new. For Andromeda, we're trying a different approach. And what is that? Captain Chen smiled, gazing out at the stars that no longer represented barriers, but bridges. We're going to ask what they can teach us. The galaxy had feared humanity's arrival, trembled at their power, braced for conquest, only to discover that the true revolution wasn't their technology, but their perspective. In the end, the most advanced weapon humans brought wasn't their matter conversion beams or their quantum shields. It was hope, and against that even the mighty council had no defense.